In the words of the late George Carlin, BS is the glue that binds us together as a nation. Here comes a ton of it. It's time for BSing with Big Nate.
And with that, I am joined today by Echo to Locate. That was Oxy off of their album Misery and Fools Among the Best of Us. They might be muted, in fact, so I'm going to need them to go ahead. And there we go. We are joined by Rhiannon, Will, Brian, and Tim. I'm just making sure. I was like 90% sure it was just like the Fleetwood Mac track, but I wanted to make sure before we went forward. So that's, of course, track 4 of a four-parter or four-part story, correct?
Yeah, and then it's on the full album that we have, it's track 9? 9. Yep.
All right, so I want to talk about that. I was sent information and I was kind of doing some research, and it looks like it's a 4-part story with Clear, 64, Anathema, and Oxy. But you've actually got videos for all 4 tracks as well. What made you decide, hey man, this is a story we got to tell it in 4 parts. We got to do the video, the music. We got to have it all, as one complete package.
So I think it was after we had. I finished out writing, I think, Anathema last, but I think it was right after I finished actually writing Oxy on the album that I realized that I had written this whole concept that tied in together, and it was an emotion that I really needed to get out. As a musician and as a lyricist, I've always, we always tell ourselves that we're being open and honest with our music, but most of the time we're being open and honest about the parts of ourselves that we're okay with being open and honest about. So I kind of, after we wrote the song Clear, I kind of thought about it and I was like, I feel as though I really need to be open and honest about a part of myself that I'm not comfortable at all sharing. So, and I felt that way because that was the only way I was truly going to help people with music, was to be honest, because that's how musicians have helped me in my past. So after we had wrote Clear, I remember me and Will was in the band at this time. We were on our very first little tour. And I remember me in the passenger seat, I was like, all of a sudden just starting writing down. I was like, I have this awesome idea for a music video for Clear. I was like, we should put me in this black bathtub, this bathtub filled with black water. And I should write all the things that I'm most insecure about on the wall to really push me out of my comfort zone. And then after we finished writing the rest of the songs and everything, I was thinking that, if this message all connects, we should really make a story out of it. We should really make something. So not only do we have content to post and everything nowadays, because social media is everything, but it would be something that actually people could see through and see kind of how to help themselves in that situation. So that's how we just decided that we wanted to connect the 4, I think, the main, most powerful lyrical parts of the song, parts of the album, at least.
So with movies, they're always shot out of order, non-sequentially, just based on the order in which shots need to get done. I guess what I'm trying to ask is it kind of the same? You started with Clear, but then did you proceed in writing everything in a chronological order, or what's the process like for that?
So me and Will actually, when we script videos, we kind of did it by second. And it took us a year to fully script them all, was it? And over again, we would keep changing things and we would just keep imagining. I feel like you kind of go schizophrenic when you start to imagine it, because it's all in your head and you're trying to verbalize how you want everything to look, especially, us being not a big band or anything like that. We didn't really have the resources or the money that we had to have somebody else direct it and everything. So it had to be very self-done with one paid videographer. So we ended up shooting the videos all for what we like to call the white room scenes. We shot those all in New York. And it's all the shots of the band performing, actually. Those were shot before any other parts of any video. And all 4 video parts for that was shot at the same day.
Yes.
And it was a very stressful 24-hour shift.
Yeah, we did it back to back in 10 hours. That's booked 10 hours. Yeah. We got up at 4:30 in the morning and took a van all the way up to New York, shot back to back for 10 hours, just one song after another, and then got back in the van and came home.
It was basically a 24-hour day.
Basically. It was rough. It was fun, but it was rough.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
So then what ended up happening is I just finished cleaning the charcoal out of my bathroom, because it is my bathroom that we did it Clear in. And I just, we did that one next, but then COVID happened and we had to find a way. We actually had to re-script the last 3 videos because we weren't able to get our videographer in person with us. So we kind of had to make a thing where we would help. He said we could use his equipment basically, and he would take the editing from it. And so we just basically took a mass load of shots and redid our entire garage.
Yeah.
And I took parts of my bed frame. I don't know if you guys know this, I took my whole bed apart. And so I could hang black sheets everywhere so I could get the right shots and everything. And it took hours, but it took days really. to make it happen. But we finally got this stuff and we sent it to Jack, and then we gave him his equipment back, and he was like, okay, this I can work with, because they weren't the majority of the videos
Yeah.
anyways.
It was really scary holding that expensive camera.
Oh yeah, I was like, whatever you do, Will, do not drop that camera.
I mean, that's a lot of trust. There's something to be said for the videographer for still proceeding and being like, we can get this done. We just got to go ahead and be a little adaptive. And I love it. I know that's been a big thing I've noticed with this year is the innovation and people having to kind of think outside of the box. Now, when you're doing something like that and you're trying to, I mean, you guys, I'm assuming none of you are videographers by trade,
Not
correct?
in the slightest.
So do you feel like that's a lot of added pressure, or did you feel like, you know, maybe some things are definitely our vision and that we're allowed to do a little more and then he's going to do the editing?
Yeah, if you want to explain that, because we found out Will kind of has a better eye than all of us for like videotaping, actually.
Pretty much what I've learned about videotaping is the stupider you walk, the better it looks.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that Jack really kind of took it and, you know, he stabilized a lot of it. Some of it was too shaky.
Walking in rocks is not easy to do.
Yeah, because we didn't use a stabilizer or anything like that.
Oh yeah, we didn't, because I did not know how to use that big thing.
Yeah, no, it was too tricky and we didn't want to break his equipment. I think though that with what Jack kind of had in his head and what we had in our head, I think that, I don't even know how to explain it. He didn't really have to do that much editing to it, but he did like adjust like the color and everything because we don't have.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of storyline, you guys pretty much had it like planned out. I mean, even the packets you gave us when we shot.
Oh, it was very
And-
organized.
Yeah, it was like they had stuff down to like the split second of like this, even during the performance shots where it's like, yeah, like 3 minutes and 5 seconds here, I've got to do, you know, a spin or something. Like it was super broken down, which I think made the process communicating between you guys way easier with Jack.
Yeah, I think he would. Yeah, the hardest part is actually communicating like what's in my head to Jack, and I think that was easier to do when we actually got to film it. But when we were in New York, that became harder to do because I wasn't the one behind the camera; I was the one in the shot. So that was what was really hard. But Will typically knows what I'm talking about because we wrote the script together.
Yeah.
So I think that was the main difference, is that it was just harder to explain in New York than it was when we got to do it.
It wasn't the fact that New York, it was just a long day, so we were pretty much drained by the end of it.
Yeah, no plane survives first contact with the enemy ever.
I think across the board, it all came out really well, and it's not evident that this was a coronavirus. I mean, I guess we're going to call it forever the coronavirus era. There's no evidence, and it's stylistically, it's very great. I think it's a really well-polished product. I think everything came out really well. That's what's been going on for you this year, but I want to talk about backwards. Let's talk about how Echo to Locate came to be.
Oh, you can take that one.
So we're 3 years old as a band, so we're still a little bit of like a baby band, but
With this many.
with this many,
We just started to walk a little bit.
Yes.
Just a little bit.
I actually auditioned for this band about 3 years ago, and me and the drummer decided that the music wasn't for us because I got accepted into it. And we decided the music wasn't for us and we wanted to start a rock band. So we went off and did that. And then we went through a couple of different members. And then oddly enough, how I found Will was on Band Mix. He had no audio. I just saw he was wearing a fedora in his picture. And I kept telling our drummer, I was like, that's the one. I don't know why, but that's the guy that we need. I just feel like he's going to be really good. And he showed up and was like, hi. And the drummer was like, I don't know about this guy. He doesn't really speak. And I was like, trust me, he's going to come out of his shell. It's going to be great. Like, I don't know why. I just had this weird feeling.
Also, the fact that, remember, when I got there, I knew, like, literally half the songs you guys gave me.
Right, because they were easy. And
also the fact that Bandmix would just not let me upload any music. They just wanted to let me. The likelihood of me getting found was very small because of that Bandfix glitch now.
I don't know. You were just showing up on every single page. But what was cool about it is that, you know, me and Will developed like a really good friendship and everything. And now we're like best friends. But we ended up being able to develop like this style that we really wanted to go for. And unfortunately, the other members that we were working with at the time really didn't want to go for it. And then, you know, once you get through like a certain amount of stress as a band, you kind of see everybody like where their mental state is. and you kind of see people either kind of like take on like the work and the pressure and everything and keep going, or they kind of start to crumble and fall apart. So we lost a lot of members. Well, we didn't lose a lot of members. We decided to part with some members, and then but we did lose our former drummer due to like the creative difference of like where we wanted to go. So I'm actually dating our current drummer, Connor, and how that happened was I met I've been dating Connor for 3 years, and that's how I met Brian. And Brian actually recorded our first like EP, Calling Out, and then Brian was driving me to a show, I think, one day, and then he was joking about being in the band, and I was like, you should do it. Like, you're an amazing guitarist. Like, you should join Echo to Locate because we need a guitarist like you. I'm not good enough. So, and then he was telling me about Tim, because Tim, and Connor were all in the same band. They were in a metal band together. So we kind of just like absorbed their members a little bit because they were cool with the sound that we wanted to make on our record. And that's how the current lineup is. And we're all actually like best friends, and this is the healthiest lineup we've had.
That's good to hear. And I think if we were going to make an Echo to Locate book, I think the title would be Good Headgear and Who You Know.
Yes.
Be a fair synopsis. All right, so we've got the background on Echo to Locate, and we need to talk about Misery and Fools Among the Best of Us and where that can be found.
So it can be found on all major streaming platforms. You can also buy a limited edition. We have a few left of these USB cassettes, and they're really cool, little cool collectibles. You can get it at echolocate.com. We only have a couple of signed ones left, and then the rest of them are not signed, just to kind of give people a little urge to buy them, but they're really cool.
See, that's something cassettes, for whatever reason, seem to have been making a comeback. I mean, I understand vinyl. I'm not as big on the cassette thing, but I think like the aesthetic of a cassette's really cool to me. So right. I think doing the USB cassette's the way to go, because like
then you can take it anywhere with you, you know.
Like Lamb of God's latest album came out on cassette for whatever reason. Like, who wants to listen to that? And then you have to deal with there's too much work involved. So USB cassette, I think, is the best of both worlds, and I think that's a really cool item that a lot of people are going to want to go ahead and nab.
Also, the fact that it's like USB is higher quality than CD.
Yeah.
And you can just plug it into any car, because most cars nowadays just have a USB slot available.
Yeah.
We've actually got a vehicle here at work that doesn't even have a CD player. It's literally just got an aux port and a USB port. So
it's like a work truck.
Those are going away as time moves on. It makes me kind of sad, but
yeah,
I get Blu-ray audio.
I get the change. So what's coming up in the rest of 2020 and looking towards 2021?
So right now in our free time, we have been working on writing like loosely our second record. However, what our main plan is before we even like really talk about a second record publicly, is mainly trying to get some live streams. We want to do something where we can still, you know, reach our fans and everything. So we're working with a promoter in Baltimore and a booking agent in Baltimore to be able to do actual professional live streams. And then we're also recently, today, we just started talking about a possible tour for next summer for 2021. Hopefully by then there will be a vaccine or something. And, you know, we can always cancel and reschedule a tour, but it's good to kind of get it booked and start thinking about it.
Get me out of the house.
Yeah, we basically just want to be able to play on stage. So we're trying to find every avenue to do that. And any way we can do that, we will. So
literally every avenue.
All right, that's what I like to hear. But most importantly, this is going to be my last question. And this is an easy one, but probably the most important is, where can Echo to Locate be found online?
Oh, you can find us. You can literally find us at echolocate.com, or you can go on our Facebook. You can go on our Instagram. You can watch this interview. Yeah, and you can Google us and we'll pop up too.
So if you really want to hear how we sound relatively, I mean, you can find the live stream, right?
Yeah.
Still?
And
yeah,
then
from that we did that was kind of like our release live stream.
That's on Facebook.
For Misery and Fools, yeah.
And then you can also find us on Spotify too if you want to actually listen to our recordings.
Excellent. Thank you all so much for joining me. Of course, I've been joined today by Echo to Locate. That is Rhiannon. Good Lord, sorry. And you know, I was sitting there rehearsing it. And I was like, I'm going to get it right. I knew I was going to foul it up once. I'm very sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Rhiannon, Will, Ryan and Tim, and I thank you guys so much for joining me. Give them some love, and thanks for tuning in to this edition of BS with Big Nate.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.